Alright, as you may know, something horrible happened at the South Korean airport of Muan this very morning. You've probably seen this video here of a JeJu Air 737-800 doing a belly landing at the destination airport and completely overrunning the runway and crashing into a concrete embankment of some sort and completely going up in flames. With 175 passengers and 6 crew on board, only 2 people have been rescued alive as far as we know right now. And all I can personally say is that I'm very much confused about this accident. And so the whole internet is talking about it, asking the question, how could this happen? Let's go ahead and recreate this flight and maybe analyze all the theses that people are putting up. Flight 7C2216 was a scheduled flight from Bangkok to the city of Muan in South Korea by the low-budget carrier of JeJu Air, a South Korean airline. At exactly 2:30 in the morning, this airplane of the registration of Hotel Lima 8088 took off from Bangkok's runway 01 left to depart onto the 4-hour and 30 voyage to South Korea indeed. And as far as we know, the flight went without any issues. The Hotel Lima 8088 is a 15-year-old 737-800, the same airplane that made an emergency landing on Friday actually, where it was scheduled to fly from the island airport of JeJu International Airport to Beijing in China. And as you can see, it diverted to Seoul. We don't know what, happened on that flight last Friday, and we don't know whether it's affiliated to what happened today. Either way, back to our flight at around 9 in the morning local time here in South Korea. The Hotel Lima 8088 was coming in for a landing at Muan's runway 01. Now, I do have to clarify what was going to happen now is not confirmed yet, but reported by media or by bystanders at the airport. While approaching the airport, apparently fully configured with flaps out and landing gear out, we have this video right here of this airplane suffering from a bird strike. You can see a compressor stall, some sort of flame out. Once again, this is a phone video by someone here near the Muan airport. You can kind of maybe see the landing gear is out. We can assume, yes, a bird strike happened while the plane was coming in for the runway 1. Striking definitely the engine number 2 so far. And this is something that is known to happen here at the Muan airport. Here is a bird concentration chart from the international airport indeed. And this is the runway 1, which is very close to a big feeding and roosting area, actually 2 of birds. Bird strike can happen here. And the interesting fact is that just before arriving into runway 1, the ADS-B data cuts out at 500 feet. Something that is interesting though is the vertical speed. Look at it. Right here, just take a close look. Upon reaching the town of Gangjeonri, the airplane apparently does what I think is maybe a try of a go-round. Yes, vertical speed. Yes, there we go. It's coming up. Plane tries to climb 1,700 feet per minute, where I guess the crew notices, dude, we have very limited performance, which is why they're starting to lose speed again. Now, we lose data right here, so what I'm going to do now is assume. Now, we've got a big loss of power now. Plane doesn't really climb very well. Right now, our left engine works again, and yes, the pilots did go around to put the landing gear up again, that is for sure, and I assume they declared an emergency. And now watch closely as one of the biggest concerns happened. Now, apparently, the airplane ended up landing down here again at runway 19er. So what I assume they did was turn around quickly, do a teardrop maneuver to make sure to reach some airport with the limited engine power. Right, runway 19er over here, coming in for a landing runway 19er. And now it gets really interesting. We can agree that the landing gear was definitely not down upon touchdown, nor were the flaps. This airplane was not in a landing configuration at all. And here it is a problem of theorizing. Either the bird strike could have damaged the hydraulic systems of the airplane so that the landing gear would not come down. Look, landing gear is stuck right here, although our handle is down. It's not becoming green at all. But in case that happens, you can also put out the landing gear manually. There's a panel for that down there. Here's a video showing it to us. Look, this is the gravity deployment, manual gear extension, access door. That in case of emergency, the landing gear will always come down. Trouble is, as you might have seen right there, this panel is very hard to reach. especially in such a bad situation. Our plane is maybe losing power. We're in this teardrop maneuver. We don't have much time. We want to land as quickly as possible. And so it is very inconvenient for the first officer to pull their chair back, open the panel, and, pull those red levers. And especially after noticing, oh wow, we have 3 red on the landing gear. Landing gear isn't down. Probably the same thing with the flaps not down. They're completely up, as it seems here. Because we have lost engine power, we cannot even use the alternate flaps of the 737 because we would need to get the APU engine started up, which would also take some time. This is a very common thesis online that I found. The idea that the crew just didn't have the time to react properly to the hydraulic faults because of the engine faults. A very common idea that I've also found is people suggest that the pilots merely forgot to put out the landing gear. Now that has happened before, for example on that one PIA Airlines flight, but I don't usually think that. Anyway, as in real life, we're coming in for a belly landing right now at around 200 knots at a very, very quick speed, trying to somewhat catch this runway, maybe touching down very, very late. Come on, take a look. Kind of like that. Very bad belly landing now in real life. 1 reverse thrust also deployed. And as in real life, we don't manage to stop very well and overrun the runway. Now here in the flight simulator, it went relatively well, but in real life, the airplane collided with a concrete embankment of some sort. Here is a Google Street View from 2018, which shows the end of runway 19, or the very end that was just overrun a few hours ago. And here is what I could consider here the embankment that the 737 crashed into, which has the localizer antennas on them. Now there is also this concrete fence right here, although I don't believe that did much damage. The runway of Muan Airport is relatively short. It's only 2,800 meters long, and we only have a clearway, CWY, of 200 meters, which definitely showed. In fact, the runway right now is being lengthened. There's construction work going on here at runway 19er anyway. According to this chart right here, they're working on extending the runway by at least like 700 meters or so. But that is everything we know now, actually. And I am nothing more than an armchair pilot, especially considering the 737, an airplane that I have no idea of. How big is the pilot's human error in this accident is a good question. We don't know how much power these engines still delivered. Could a go-around to sort out any landing gear issues have worked? Was there enough engine power to still go around? Or did the pilots really try their best to make it down to the runway in time? Maybe this is a Sully situation where we have a fully lost engine. We don't know about that. Or were the pilots even overworked to the point where they truly didn't handle the situation properly? As in, did they maybe even forget to put out landing gear, configure this airplane for landing in this stressful situation? All of those stay hypothetical. Were there other issues with this airplane? Once again, I mentioned the fact that it had to do an emergency landing just 2 days earlier. To have answers, we will definitely need to wait for proper investigation. Something I do not definitely agree with is the idea that adverse weather conditions in combination with a bird strike caused this crash, although the weather probably couldn't have been any better. Until then, thank you very much for watching this video. Sending prayers to the lost lives on this flight. And I hope that the aviation industry will learn from the mistakes. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.